Tomorrow, the Operation Monarch event drops for all players, including a ton of stuff to do in Warzone, but with that, it's all predominantly Warzone. However, today, ahead of the launch of that, Vanguard got an update that, and I hate to say it again for like the third time or so in the last week, especially if it ends up in the title, but a surprising update that actually turns out to be exactly that. There was no schedule associated with this. Instead, we got an update to Vanguard that is pretty substantial in a lot of different areas. So that said, today we're breaking down these changes for those of you still on Vanguard. Again, it's actually some pretty substantial changes to certain gunplay. So as we go along, drop your thoughts down below. Are you guys looking forward to Operation Monarch? Are you still on Vanguard? Whatever the case, drop your thoughts down below. As well, if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, do be sure to subscribe button to stay up to date with all things Call of Duty related. Operation Monarch kicking off tomorrow, so we'll have a ton of stuff here to discuss over the next couple of days. And of course, as we push towards the end of May and into early June, we're right around the corner from a Modern Warfare 2 full-on reveal. So make sure you guys stay here on the channel for all of that as well. And finally, we'll come back to it a little bit later, but if you guys work at a computer, game a ton, or on your phone for prolonged periods of time a day, check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage for the best blue light glasses on the market. I swear by them, and if you'd like the best comfort and protection, check them out and consider using code ESPRESSO to get 10% off your entire order. But that said, let's jump into it. So when it comes to this update, a big focal point here was on the lower caliber ammunition alternatives for weapons, a relatively large change to operators, and a few other things that are definitely worth noting. So let's just start out with the largest by quantity of these. The weapon tuning. A fair warning, a lot of this will be numbers and potentially droning on, so apologies for that, but relaying statistical data, there's not really an easy way to spice that up. So that said, the changes made here, according to Sledgehammer, were made because magazine attachments with low caliber ammunition have been struggling to perform on par with their higher caliber counterparts. Today's update increases the firepower of lower caliber magazines so that players can equip these attachments for the handling benefits while maintaining similar bullets to kill. Damage values are crafted to be the most effective with shots to the head and torso, and decreases in range will favor close quarters gunfights. So that said, that's pretty interesting because, I mean, fundamentally speaking, there are a handful of weapons that can quite literally two-shot with, say, the 50 BMG rounds in Vanguard. So to have something that then brings that up a little bit in terms of competitiveness for other ammo choices in some of those weapons, I'm definitely curious to see how this will shape up in terms of the overall air quote meta for Vanguard. But the STG had the Gorenko 30 round magazine, a damage increase from 22 to 24, and an increase to the effective damage range penalty. The Automaton had its 5.6mm 25 round increase in damage from 18 to 20 per shot, but also had an increase in the effective damage range penalty as well as an increased fire rate bonus. The Ultra Burst had a couple of attachments changed here, in which the Sakura 20 round magazine had its damage increased from 20 to 25, but also had a decreased burst delay benefit and also an increase to the effective damage range penalty added on top of that. The 303 British 30 round magazine increased the fire rate bonus, increased the burst delay bonus, and also increased the effective damage range penalty. The Bar had its 8mm Klauser 20 round magazine increase in damage from 28 to 32 and increase that effective damage range penalty. Now the Bar is actually one of those ones that I'm very curious to see how this will shape up and if it changes anybody's playstyle, because I mean 28 to 32 is a substantial change, and mathematically speaking, that's something that just about makes it a 3-shot kill if you get a headshot in that mix. So if that's the case, it can potentially rival that of the 2-shot Bar build, but it's going to be more so suited for better close quarters engagements here with that. So interesting to see how this will shape up, but we'll have to see in time. The AS-44 had the Gorenko 45 round magazine increase in damage from 19 to 23. The NZ-41 had an 8mm Klauser 30 round magazine increase in damage from 28 to 32, but also had the Sakura 45 round magazine increase in damage from 28 to 31, while increasing that effective damage range penalty. The Volkswagen had 2 attachments here adjusted in the ammo category. The Gorenko 30 round magazine had an increase in damage from 21 to 24, as did the Gorenko 20 round fast mag from 21 to 24. So that caliber, of course, being the same, dealing the same damage, just comes down to the quantity you want in your magazine. The Nikita AVT had the Sakura 50 round drum magazine increase in damage from 19 to 22 and increased that effective damage range penalty. The KGM 40 had the Sakura 35 round magazine increased from 22 to 24. The MP40 saw the Gorenko 32 round magazine increase in damage from 23 to 31. One of the heftiest buffs here to this in regards to overall damage increases, but it also increased that effective damage range penalty and decreased the fire rate bonus. So a little bit of a trade-off there with that. We'll see how that all plays out, but honestly, taking that then to almost a 3-shot kill potential as well on that with headshots in the mix, that might be one to consider. Now the Sten had the Gorenko 32 round magazine increase in damage again, another hefty bit here from 23 all the way up to 30. So not quite to the extent of the MP40, but still very big buff here in that sense as well. The M1920 28 had the 9mm 50 round drum mag increase in damage from 20 to 24, but had an increase in that effective damage range penalty. The Owen gun had the Gorenko 33 round magazine increase from 25 to 32, but also saw increases to that penalty for the damage range and also a decrease in that fire rate bonus. The Gorenko 72 round magazine on that same case ended up having the same things done to it, but just on the 72 round magazine. The PPSH had the Nambu 71 round magazines increased in damage from 21 to 27, while also, again, you could probably guess it, sacrifices a little bit more in that effective damage range via penalty. The Wellgun had the Gorenko 48 round magazine increased from 24 to 31. Again, another sizable change here on that damage increase, but again, sacrificing damage range a little further. The Ironhorn Revolving had the Birdshot 5-round cylinder magazine, had a decrease in the effective damage range penalty, so buffing that slightly. The Double Barrel 16-gauge shells ended up seeing a decrease in that effective damage range penalty as well, buffing that distance a little further. The MG42 saw the Sakura 125-round drum magazine increase in damage from 17 to 19, but also increased the effective damage range penalty. The Type 11 basically had the same exact thing here again, but damage-wise 19 to 23 instead of 17 to 19. The Bren had the Sakura 30-round magazine increased in damage from 25 to 32, while increasing the effective damage range penalty as well. And the Whitley, rounding out the LMGs here, saw an increase in damage from 28 to 31 on the British 45-round magazine, but also again decreased that fire rate bonus and increased the effective damage range penalty. The final two weapons we'll see here are in the marksman category of the G43 and the M1916, where the G43 had the Sakura 20-round magazine increase in damage from 25 to 31, while again reducing that effective damage range a little bit further. Then the M1916, again, kind of the same thing here. This is what we've seen beforehand, 38 to 40 on the damage per round, but also increased that effective damage range penalty and decreased the fire rate bonus. So quite a number of weapon tuning passes here with this, and stuff that changes a lot of the weapon ammunition you may be choosing fundamentally. So definitely curious to see how this will shape up, but outside of that, we saw a handful of other changes that are definitely worth noting. Number one, and probably the biggest outside of the weapon tuning, is that of a change to operators. As of this update, all operators are now silent when mantling, landing, and performing other movements. So that's something they didn't quite specify what those other movements are, but this was a big indicator for where players would be. You could audibly hear when a player was mantling, jumping down, and landing on something, and while it will be something that after this update, you yourself will still hear these things, your enemies will not. It does not actually make that audio for anybody outside of your first-person perspective. So that is a really big change here in regards to audible cues giving away player positioning. And that's something that I think I'm here for. I like the sound of that, and I think that's a nice change overall. Now, that doesn't mean that we're getting rid of footstep audio and things like that, but instead, that's sort of other ambient noise that you'd end up hearing when doing specific things. Finally, the last thing really that had a sort of substantial value is that of the trophy system, where that got a slight nerf here to it, where trophy systems will no longer destroy a thrown skull crusher. So realistically, it's just kind of like you're stopping tomahawks where you shouldn't be. So that's something that isn't too big an issue, but was definitely an unintended advantage here that it gave you using the trophy system. And all in all, that is the surprise update here for Vanguard ahead of the Operation Monarch event. We got some previews here of the Operation Monarch event earlier today from the official Call of Duty blog. We kind of broke that all down here in the video that we talked about over this past weekend. So I'm very much so looking forward to seeing what we can end up getting here out of the gameplay experience tomorrow with Operation Monarch. I'm excited to see what this other sort of bonus cosmetics are if you end up taking part in getting any of those exclusive bundles for the event. I'm excited to see what the blueprint rewards are for the challenges as a part of this event, and I'm excited to see if there's an actual Easter egg here to complete within Caldera. So that said, that's kind of where we're at here with this, and I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. So just wanted to fill you guys in a little bit on what you may have missed here earlier today, but before we go, a reminder to check out my friends over at Gamer Advantage. They're a blue light glasses company that I absolutely swear by. I've used their stuff for well over a year now, and I don't think that I'll ever be going back. As someone who works at their desk for 8 to 10 hours a day, if not more, mostly working at a computer, either that be editing, gaming, commentating something, eye strain and fatigue is something that I've struggled to combat for years. I've used those pairs off Amazon for like $15 that you'll see, and let me tell you, man, nothing compares to Gamer Advantage. What you pay for is absolutely what you get, the highest quality in comfort, durability, and clinically proven effectiveness. For me, I'm a huge fan of the Horizon frames. They're the most lightweight, and honestly, sometimes I even forget that I have them on. So if you'd like to learn more, check the link in the description below, and if you'd like to pick something up, use code Espresso, and you'll end up saving an additional 10% off your entire order. But that said, that's where we're gonna wrap it up. Tomorrow we'll be back at it here with Operation Monarch and the update at hand. So I'll see you guys then, but let me know your thoughts down below. Enjoying the update update, maybe not so much. Whatever the case, drop your thoughts. But if you enjoyed the video, do me a favor and drop a like on it. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all things Warzone, Vanguard, and even Modern Warfare 2 content here coming very, very soon. But for now, that's what we're going to call it. So thanks so much for watching. My name's Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.